Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thanks for joining us for our first session of our Stretch and Strengthen Low Impact Exercise class. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. My name is Shelley. I'm a physiotherapist by background and a staff member at Parkinson Society BC, and I will be doing the series with you guys. So today, before we start, we just have a couple of things to go over. So as you probably are aware, since you signed up for the low impact exercise series, the class will be a very gentle, slow paced class. We're not going to be doing anything fast. And of course, you can take breaks whenever you'd like during the series. You can probably see that I've got a bit of a chair set up at the back behind me here. So the class is going to start in seated first, and then we'll transition and move to a standing position. But of course, you can choose to stay seated if you would like during the entire series. It's entirely up to you. Okay, I just saw one of the comments saying no audio and frozen screen. So if at any point during the session today, the audio is lagging or the screen is frozen or something is not quite right, what you can try to do is refresh your page on the browser. I know this sounds very simple, but it usually does the trick, because sometimes on this webinar platform, for whatever reason, if there's lots of people using the same webinar, sometimes it can freeze. And if you just refresh the page, the audio and the screen normally returns. And during our session today, we do have my colleague Amy, who is going to be helping us monitor the chat box. So if you do have any questions during the series, please feel free to type them into the chat box, which is just on your right-hand side. If you don't see a chat box open, it might be in a little icon at the bottom of your screen. It should be like a little blue circle, and it looks sort of like a chat box. If you click on that, it should open up as well, depending on whether you're on a tablet device or on a browser. So if you did have any questions during the series, please feel free to type it in the chat box, and my colleague Amy can help answer the questions. So I obviously can't see the questions as I'm exercising with you, but I will come back to the screen when we're done with our session today, and I can read some of the questions if you do have anything specific in mind. Okay, and if you have found the chat box, you'll probably see at the very top of the chat box, I've put in a link to the SuperWalk website. If you've joined us for other webinars before, you've probably heard us talk about the SuperWalk a lot, but we'll talk about it again briefly here. So the SuperWalk is happening on September the 12th and the 13th, which is over a weekend. And of course, previous years we were doing SuperWalk as an in-person event, but with the pandemic this year, it's going to be all virtual. You can find out a little bit more about the SuperWalk through the website, which is pinned at the very top of the chat box. You can click on it and it will link you to the website. So you can do that at the end of the webinar if you would like to find out a little bit more information. Great. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for being here. We can get started now. The session is recorded, so if anybody wants to revisit the class at any point in the future, you can find the video link on our website about a week after the entire series ends. So we've got 4 weeks to do our Stretch and Strengthen Low Impact Exercise class. And if you did have any feedback or comments or suggestions for the class after today's session, we would love to hear from you. So you can either type in the chat box, or if you would like, you can also drop us an email, which is info@parkinson.bc.ca, and we would love to hear your feedback. Thank you, Amy. I've just seen you put up the email there in the chat box. Okay, great. Well, hopefully everybody can see me and hear me okay. We're gonna get started now. So just follow along to the best of your abilities and feel free to take breaks when you need. The class is gonna be pretty slow paced, so we'll have lots of time for some stretching and active moving type exercises. Okay, great. I'm going to move back, so hopefully you can all still see me. Okay, so hopefully you can all hear me as well, as I'm sitting a little bit further back from the screen. So we're going to start in a seated position. Just find a chair that you're comfortable sitting in. You can sit on your couch if you like, whatever is comfortable for you. Ideally, if it's a chair without arms, that would be better, just so we don't accidentally hit our arms on anything as we're moving. But it's entirely up to you. If you did want to sit in a chair with armrest, that's absolutely fine as well. Just be a little bit mindful that you're not hitting your arm by accident or hurting yourself on the sides of the chair. Okay. So we're going to get started. We'll just start sitting with our feet flat on the floor. We're going to drop our arms down by our side. And we're going to sit nice and tall, thinking about elongating our spine to the ceiling, almost like you're growing as tall as you can in the chair. Great. From here, we're just going to do some breaths in. So we're going to take a deep breath in. And we're going to sweep the arms up and open overhead. If you can't do this with your arms, with your shoulders, you can sweep up and open forward as well. It's entirely up to you. Nice and gentle. Breath in and out. Again. And out. So it's almost like you're doing a motion of trying to take your shirt off, where you're crossing the arms, reaching up overhead and opening the arms nice and gentle. Good. Let's do 2 more here. And breath out. 1 more. Good. We're going to repeat this, except this time, on the breath out, you're going to rotate your breastbone to one side, so you're twisting your body, and then you're dropping the arms back down, doing a bit of a stretch. Other side, breathing in, open the arms, and twist the body to one side. Leading the movement with your breastbone, so you're really feeling that stretch in your spine as you're breathing out and dropping the arms. Good. We'll do a few more here. Really feeling the spine elongate into the ceiling and the chest twisting to either side. Good. Nice big rotation. Let's do 1 more. Good, and lower the arms down. This time we're going to float the arms up into a T shape. You're going to keep the arms in a nice open position, and we're just going to tip the entire body to one side so that your arms are still in a straight line, but you're stretching the outside of your torso there. Good, and coming back up to the middle, nice and gentle, not doing this quick. We're gonna go nice and slow to the other side, really feeling that stretch on the outside of your torso there. So you'll find that for today's class, we're gonna do lots and lots of stretching through the body, which is going to feel really nice, I hope. Help with any of that stiffness or rigidity you might feel, not only in your body, but also in your arms and legs. Good. Let's do 1 more each side. Really see if you can stretch a little bit further, almost like you're trying to tip your arm towards the floor. Good. Last time, the other side. Really feeling that stretch on one side of your body. Great. And relax those arms down. We're going to do 1 more for the arms. This time, we're going to do some arm circles, and we're going to go forward first. So you're going to circle the arms forward. And you'll see how here I'm doing a pretty big circle, but if you're somebody with shoulders that don't quite go up that high, that's okay. You don't have to go all the way up. You can make the circle smaller. Whatever is comfortable for you, as long as you're still trying to circle the arms forward with your elbows straight. Good. And as we do the circles forward, we're going to start making the circle smaller and smaller. So with each circle, you're going to make it smaller than the one before, so that eventually your arms will be in such a small circle that they look a little bit like this sort of pulsing movement, but you're still drawing a little circle. But it's going to be quite small with your elbows straight, shoulders down. We're going to hold the circles here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax those arms. Good. We're going to circle backwards this time, but nice and wide to start. So just like before, you're circling the arms, except in a backwards direction, and you're going to circle the arms as big as you can possibly make them. So if you can't reach your shoulders all the way up to the ceiling, that's okay. Circle in whichever range you're comfortable in. And you're going to make the circle a little bit smaller every time. So smaller than the one before, and again, smaller than the one before. So the circles get smaller and smaller until you're in a very small range where your arms are almost looking like they're pulsing, except they're still circling backwards. And we're going to hold this here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax those arms. Good. Hopefully your arms aren't too sore. If they are, you can give them a little squeeze. Give them a little squeeze, or maybe a little pat, or maybe you want to shake the arms out a little bit, whatever you need. Okay, we're going to sit up nice and tall, and we're going to give the arms a little bit of a rest, and we're going to just start to bring some movement into our legs. So we're going to start by doing a little bit of a march where you're lifting the leg up and you're touching the opposite hand, like this. So you're marching on the spot while sitting down, trying to reach your kneecaps to the opposite hand. And with this, we're not doing it fast. We're doing it nice and slow at a comfortable pace, but we're doing it with control. So you're going to try not to let the body rock too far. You're going to imagine your body is nice and still like a statue, and only your arms and legs are moving. You're going to try to sit up nice and tall, shoulders down away from the ears. Really making sure you're lifting up the knee to bring it towards the hand without the chest coming down. Good, nice and tall. That's it, you got it. Let's see if we can do another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, keep the back up nice and straight if you can, 3, 2, last one. Good, and rest. We're gonna bring our hands down beside us in the chair or on your armrest if you like. Just let your arms relax. Okay, we're going to get some movement into the knee now. You're going to straighten one of your legs. Doesn't matter which one, we'll do both. And with the knee straight, we're going to circle the ankle 2 times in each direction. Trying to make the circles as big as you can without bending that knee. Good. And we're going to switch sides. Same thing. Straighten that knee as much as you can. And then you're going to circle the ankle twice in each direction. Really trying to make that circle as big as you can possibly make it. Good. And then we switch sides again. Keeping that knee nice and straight. Circling that ankle as big as you can go. Twice in each direction before switching sides. Good. Making sure we're still sitting up nice and tall as we're doing this, so we're not starting to slouch, but we're still sitting nice and tall over our sit bones, even though we're moving the leg. Good, nice big circles, as big as you can make it, really warming up those ankles. Good. This time, we're still going to keep the knee straight, except we're not doing ankle circles. We're going to straighten the leg, and you're going to point your toes, and you're going to try to circle the entire leg. So try to keep that knee straight and see if you can circle the entire leg. And we're going to go 3 times in each direction. So you got to use that hip muscle a little bit more. If your circle is smaller, don't worry, that's okay. You're just going to try to keep sitting nice and tall on your sit bones, pointing those toes, and you're going to circle the entire leg 3 times in each direction. You'll probably feel this one a little bit more in the thigh muscles. Making sure the toes are pointed as you're circling. Still trying to keep your body nice and straight, nice and still as you're doing the circles. Try not to bend from the knees, keeping the knees nice and straight as you're circling. Good. And rest there. We're going to bring our legs a little bit wider apart. We're going to give our inner thighs a bit of a stretch. You're going to sit up nice and tall, placing your hands on your knees, keeping your back straight. You're going to hinge forward at the hips with your back straight to feel a stretch on the inner thigh. And we're just going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. Good. And again, back nice and straight. We're going to hinge forward at the hips, keeping those legs nice and wide, feeling that stretch in our inner thigh. We're going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. This time, we're going to straighten one of our legs, so it's still in an open position, but we're just straightening. And we're going to sit up nice and tall again. Keep the back straight. Hinge forward towards the bent knee this time. So we're hinging to one side. You should feel a stretch on that straightened leg. We're going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. We're going to switch legs. The other leg is going to straighten this time. You're going to sit up nice and tall on those sit bones. Hinge forward onto that bent knee without bending your spine. So your back is straight, and you're going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. Good. One more each side. Straightening the opposite knee. Sitting up nice and tall, keeping the back straight. We're going to hinge forward to that bent knee. Holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. Good. Last time, other side. Straightening that leg as much as you can. Sitting up nice and tall. Hinging forward to the bent knee. Holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back up. Good. Okay. We're just going to do a couple more things before we have a stand up for those who would like to stand. So our legs are going to be a little bit wider than hip width apart if we can in sitting. And you're going to take your hands and you're going to lean forward to try to touch your ankles or the floor, whichever you can reach. And then from here, we're going to sit back up. We're going to open our arms and you're going to lean backwards into the back of the chair if you have one. If not, you're just going to arch back and open that chest as much as you can. Good. And we're going to do that again. We're going to come forward, either touch the floor or your ankles or your shins if you can't reach that far, wherever you can reach. And then we're going to come back up, opening the chest, arching the back, really feeling that stretch across the front of the chest and the abdominals. Good. Let's do one more. Reaching down to wherever you can reach, whether that's your shin, your ankle, the floor. And then we're going to come back up, open the arms nice and wide, opening the chest, arching that back if you can. Really feel that stretch across the chest. And relax. Great. Now, for those of you who want to stay seated, we're going to do some bum lifts, whereas the people who want to do some standing, we're going to try to do a couple of sit to stands. So this is how it looks. You're going to put your hands onto the chair that you're sitting on, feet, nice space between them. So we don't want the feet together. We want them to be apart. And if you're going to stay seated for the other half of the class, that's fine. All you're going to do is you're going to bring your chest forward over your legs and lift your bum up off the seat, and then you're going to lower it back down. So really important here is that you bring that chest forward in order to bring the weight of your body over your legs, like so. And for those who would like to stand for the second half of the class, I'm going to ask you to lean forward and come have a stand up, straightening those hips nice and tall at the top. And then we're going to stick our bottom back and sit down again. We're going to do 6 of these together, either the bum lifts or the full standing. So I'm going to do the full standing version, but for the people who would like to sit, just do the bum lifts if you can, okay? We're going to do 6 of them together, nice and slow. Here we go. Here's number 1. Really bring the chest forward over your feet, pushing the floor away from you to stand. Stick your bottom muscles in to straighten up and stand as tall as you can. Good. And then we're going to bend the knees, bring the hips back, and sit back down onto the chair. Good. Here's number 2. Leaning forward again, looking right in front of your toes. Bring your weight forward over your feet. Push the floor away from you to stand, nice and tall, opening the front of the hips, tucking the bottom muscles underneath. Good, and we sit down again, sticking the bottom back, nice and controlled. So we're doing this nice and slow, so we can really work on the control here. So we're not using momentum as we're doing this. Nice and tall. Squeeze the bottom cheeks together to stand up tall. And then we're going to sit back down. Well done, everyone. This is going to be number 4. Really making sure we're leaning forward in order to have a stand up. Good. Nice and tall at the top. Squeeze the bottom muscles in. Good. And back down. 2 left. How are we doing? Still with me? Okay, 2 more. Nice and slow, transfer your weight forward. Really control the movement, pushing the hips forward to stand. Good. And then we're gonna sit back down nice and slow. Use those thigh muscles to control your descent. Good. Don't be afraid to lean forward. Here's number 6. Lean forward as much as you can in order to put your center of gravity right over your legs. And then we're gonna stand up, pushing the hips forward. Same thing on the way down. You're bending your knees, sticking your bottom back. Bring the chest forward so that your weight is directly over your legs to have a sit down. Good. How are we doing? Good? Okay. Now, for those who want to sit down, we're going to stay seated. For those who want to stand, please have a stand up in your own time. I'm going to show you the first exercise in a seated position. So you're going to place your hands on your hips. And you're going to imagine you are tipping your pelvis. So imagine right now you're sitting in the middle of a bucket. So you've got a bucket here, the bucket rim. You're sitting in the middle of the bucket and it's attached to your hips. And there's water filled all the way to the top of the bucket around you here. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the hip movement to try to tip some water forward over the front of the bucket, and then you're going to tip some water over the back of the bucket. So you're tipping your pelvis forward and backwards, almost like you've got the water tipping forwards and the water tipping backwards. Okay, I'm going to show this to you in standing as well. So in standing, you're going to soften your knees and you're going to do exactly the same thing, tipping your pelvis forward and backwards. So if I go sideways, it looks like this. You're tipping your pelvis forward, tipping it backwards. So it's just your pelvis moving like this, okay? So whether you're standing or sitting, we're going to do the same movement. So we're just going to practice isolating this pelvis movement, which might feel a little bit hard for some of you, but that's okay. We're just going to practice loosening up this pelvic movement, which is really helpful for when we're doing anything in sitting or standing or transitioning from sitting to standing or any other activity such as walking. We need a lot of pelvis mobility for all of these movements. And sometimes we don't even realize our pelvis is really stiff until we try something like this and it doesn't feel as easy as it looks. Let's do a few more here. Just tipping the pelvis. Good. One more. Good, and rest. Okay. Now, whether you're standing or sitting, I'm going to show you the exercise. You're going to bring one of your legs forward, straighten that knee, back knee is bent. You're going to sweep both arms down along your legs, bring it up in front of you, bring that leg back. Again, other side, leg nice and long, bending, sweeping the arms down, up in front of you, and coming back. So from side, it looks like this. Sweeping the arms, and in, sweeping the arms, and in. Good. So keep doing that if you're standing. If you're sitting down, same thing. Straighten one leg, sweep all the way down, forward, bring that leg in. Other side, sweeping forward and bringing it in. So whether you're standing or sitting, the movement is the same. Good. So you're feeling a bit of a hamstring stretch as you're doing this. You can do this nice and slow. The more straight you keep your back, the more you feel this stretch. Good. Keep going. Whether you're standing or sitting, keep going. I'm going to stand up to show you again. Good. So really hinging forward at the hips. straightening that leg in front of you, feeling that nice stretch down the back of your thigh. Good. Let's do 2 more. Let's do 1 more. Good, and have a rest. Okay. Good, so we're going to practice some weight shifting now, and we're going to have our legs a little bit wider to start with, so a little bit wider than our hips. And what the movement's going to look like in standing is you're going to have the arms open in a sort of a T shape, and you're going to bend to one side, and then you're going to come back up and bend to the other side. So you're shifting your weight from one leg to the other like this, okay, with the arms wide. If you're sitting down, same thing, legs are nice and wide, except rather than bending the knees more because you're already sitting, you're going to lean to one side, come back, and lean to the other side. So you're weight shifting, bringing your body weight over to one leg, and then you bring your body weight over to the other leg. Okay, so that's the movement here. I'm going to have a stand up. We're going to try it. Let's see if we can go for 10 here. We're going to open our arms nice and wide, nice and slow, just transferring your weight. Here we go. 1, 2. So really feeling the body weight going over that standing leg. 3. Good. 4. 5. Weight shifting from side to side. 6. Keep those arms open and straight if you can. Almost there. 7. Good. 8. 1 more each side. 9. You can do it. You're almost there. Last one. 10. And rest. Rest those arms. Well done. Good. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a stretch now that we've done all of that work with the arms and legs. We're going to twist our arms. We're going to start by floating our arms up to a T shape. Legs can be hip width apart, wider, narrower, whatever you're comfortable with. And you're going to bend those knees softly, and you're going to twist both arms to the back corner here, so over one hip. And then we're going to bring the arms back up. And then we're going to do the same thing, twisting to the other side and coming back up. If you're sitting down, same thing. You're going to twist to one side here, reaching both arms behind one of your hips. And then you're coming back to the middle. You're twisting to one side, bring the arms back. And you're opening up the arms again. So you're really feeling a rotation in your spine as you're doing this. So it's a bit of a stretch for your spine. So if you're standing, you're bending your knees as you're twisting. Good. If your arms are tired, don't worry, don't bring them up to a T. You can keep them here as long as you're still reaching both arms back, really feeling that rotation in the spine. Good. That's it. Well done. Let's do 1 more. Good, and rest. Okay. Now, we're going to do a little bit more weight shifting and add on to what we just did. I'm going to turn sideways to show you. This time, we're going to step backwards. So the legs look like this. You're going to step backwards. If you can step into a lunge, please do, almost like you're sending your knee to the floor. If not, a step back is fine as well. So you can either do a lunge or you can do a step back, whatever is more comfortable for you. But the idea is we're weight shifting backwards this time. So remember, you don't need to step out as far or as low as I'm doing. Please feel free to just take a small step back if that's more comfortable for you. But the idea is you're shifting your weight back, and as you're doing this, you're going to swing the arms up. So opposite arm to leg. And don't forget about your back arm. You're going to keep your elbows nice and straight, and you're just going to sweep your arms up in opposition like this, okay? If you're sitting down, same thing, except you're going to bring your leg forward instead, like this. Bring your weight forward, bring one foot forward, swing the arms in opposition, so opposite arm to leg. And again, don't forget the back arm. Like this, okay? Let's keep going here. Please feel free to have a break if you feel like you need it. If you feel you're okay and this pace is good for you, then keep going. We'll see if we can do 10 more here. Let's go 10. 9, really try to reach those arms. 8, don't forget about the back arm there. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Good, and rest. Okay, hopefully we're all doing okay still. We're going to bring our legs a little bit wider apart now to add on a bit more to our weight shifting, but adding a component of balance. So our legs are going to be wide, so about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider, depending on how confident you are with your weight shifting abilities. And what you're going to do here is you're going to shift your weight to one leg, lift up the other leg, and you're going to pulse the knee upwards 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and bring it back down. And then you're going to switch to the other side, hold that balance, pulse 1, 2, 3, and down, okay? And if you're sitting down, legs are going to be hip width apart. You're going to shift your weight to one side, lift the knee and pulse for 1, 2, 3, back down, other side, lifting the knee, go 1, 2, 3, like this, okay? Let's keep going. See if we can do 8 here together. So we're going to shift our weight, lift the knee for 3, 2, 1, and down. Good. If you need to hold on to something, please do. Shift your weight to the other side, lifting the knee for 3, 2, 1. Good. This is our 3rd time. Here we go. Going 3, 2, 1. Good. So no matter if you're sitting or standing, you're going to try to lift that knee as high as you can. Really balance on that leg. Good. This is number 5. Good. Well done, everyone. This is number 6. Good. And give yourself a rest. Well done. Okay. We're also going to strengthen a little bit on the back of our legs and our bottom muscles as well, which is going to help us extend a little bit more through the hips and stand up a little bit taller. So I'm going to turn sideways for this so I can show you. You're gonna have your legs about hip width apart. You're gonna do a small bend to your knee. So not a lot, just a little bit, so just a little bit. And you're gonna keep this angle of your knee bend the same throughout the entire exercise. We're not gonna bend more, we're not gonna straighten the knees more. We're gonna keep them slightly bent, maybe 30 degrees, okay? From here, your back is going to be straight and you're gonna hinge forward at the hips. You can do what you like with your arms. Hinge forward at the hips with your back straight, as far as you can go. And then you're gonna come back up without changing the angle of your knees, okay? So notice here how if you look at my knees, as I'm coming down with my back straight, and as I'm coming back up, there's no change in the angle of my knees. So if you're doing it this way, without changing the angle of your knees, and without bending the back, you should feel it down the back of your thighs and your bottom muscles to keep you upright, like so. If you're sitting down, we're gonna do a little bit differently. You're gonna have your arms wherever you like, as long as you're not holding on, back nice and straight. You're gonna hinge forward without bending the back and coming back up. So you're hinging from the hips, not from the back, right? So we're not curving from the back. Your spine is straight, you're hinging at the hips and coming back up. Same idea, hinging at the hips and coming back up. Whereas if you're standing, soften the knees a little bit, think 30 degrees, and then keeping the back straight, you're gonna hinge all the way down from your hips. And then you're gonna come all the way up without bending or straightening the knees more. But you see how the pelvis is moving? We're gonna try to do that whether you're standing or sitting. We're gonna try to go for 10. Here we go. 1. Good. 2. So we're doing this nice and slow so we can really control this movement, making sure if you're standing, the angle of the knees don't change. Good. 3. If you're sitting down, try to keep that back straight and you're hinging from the hips as well. Good. 4. Good. You don't have to go as far as I'm going. Please go at a comfortable pace for you. So if you can only bend forward a little bit, that's okay. Just go wherever you feel like is a challenge for you and come back up. Good. Here's number 6. Really hold that balance, making sure the angles of your knees don't change if you're standing. 7. If you're sitting down, make sure your arms are not holding on to anything and you're using your body to balance. 8. Good. Tucking that pelvis underneath every time you stand back up. 9. Good. 1 more. 10. Good, and rest. Well done, everybody. Feel free to shake out your legs if you like. Good. Now that we've done all that work for the back of our legs, we're just gonna release our hips a little bit. So we're not clenching anything. We'll do a bit of an active stretch. You're gonna have your feet maybe a little bit wider than hip width apart or hip width apart, arms down by your side. You're going to push your hip to one side and sweep your arms up to the opposite side to stretch the outside of the hip and the body. That's through the legs as well. And then you're coming back into the middle. And then you're going to push your hip to the other side, bring your arms up, making sure your breastbone is facing forward. So we're not doing this. Our breastbone is facing forward. And then you're coming back to the middle. If your shoulders are hurting and you can't lift them that high, that's okay. You can sweep the arms forward if you like, as long as your arms are in the opposite direction of where your hips are pulling. Good. Keep going. If you're sitting down, same thing. You're still curving to one side, reaching your arm to the opposite side. and coming back. So you're not pushing your hip to one side, reaching your arms to the opposite side, and coming back. Good, keep going. Good, that's it, well done. Really enjoy the stretch. If you want to stay here longer during the stretch, that's absolutely fine as well. Or you can move through the stretch like what we're doing here, as long as you're reaching the arms in opposition to where the hips are going. Good. Let's do one more each side. Good. And rest. Okay. We're going to give the front of our thighs and the fronts of our hips a little bit of a stretch. Now, we had a chair that we started with. So if you're standing, I want you to hold on to something. And I'm going to get you to bend that knee and put that foot behind on a chair, keeping those knees together, pushing those hips forward to feel a stretch at the front of the hips or the thigh. Or if you're pretty agile and you're standing, what you can do is you can hold on to your foot and pull it towards your hip. Stick your hips forward in order to feel that stretch at the front of the thigh or the front of the hip. Or you can use a chair. If you're sitting down, what you're going to do is you're going to sit at the very front of your chair. You're going to bring whichever leg you're stretching as far back under the chair as you can. Let me go sideways so you can see. So imagine I'm sitting this way. What you can do is stick one leg back as far as the chair will allow you to go. And then you're going to think about pushing that knee down to the floor so that you're lengthening through the front of your thigh. And if you have a back of the chair, you can lean back as well. And you should feel that stretch along the front of that thigh. Okay? Good. Keep going. Really push the hips forward. Hold it here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to switch sides. So you can do whichever version works for you, whether you're holding on to something, placing a foot behind on a chair, or if you're holding on, or if you're sitting and you're bringing one foot back and then dropping that knee down, leaning back to feel that stretch on the front of the thigh, whichever works for you. Good. We're going to hold it for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. For those who are standing, we're gonna stand right in front of the chair, and we're going to slowly sit back down with control. We're not going to just plop down in the chair. We're going to try to take 5 counts to go down to the chair, nice and controlled. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and sit. Good. We're going to bring our feet hip width apart. Last little bit. We're all going to drop our arms down. We're going to take a breath in and sweep the arms out to the side. And we're going to come back in. Again, breathing in. And bring the arms back in. Again. If you can't bring your arms up that high, that's okay. Bring it to wherever you feel comfortable. As long as we're breathing and sweeping the arms up. Good. One last one. And in. And we're going to shake out our arms. And you can shake out your legs if you like. And we are all done. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to come forward to the screen so I can see some comments. Let me just see here. Okay, so one of the questions was, how do we know if we are doing the pelvic exercise correctly? Well, the pelvic exercise that we're doing earlier. So if I come a bit closer, so you can just see my pelvis. So if I turn sideways, you can see here, if I bend my knees a little bit, you're going to tip the pelvis back and then you're tipping forward. So you know you're doing it correctly. I'm just going to move my arm. If you can see, everything from the pelvis up is relatively still and it's just the pelvis moving, right? Can you see that? So I'm not doing this. So if I'm doing this, that's not the correct movement because I'm moving my back. But if you imagine your back, so here, if this part here is still and you're just tipping the pelvis, then that's the right movement. So you should be able to feel your bottom muscles squeezing as you're tucking underneath, and then feeling your abdominal muscles elongate as you're tipping forward. So I always think of it like if you were wearing some sort of a flat tutu or something that goes all the way around, right? So it's flat. You should see it tipping forwards and back, or you can think about having a bucket that you're wearing as a bottom, and it's filled with water, and you're tipping the water forward and you're tipping the water back. So something like that. You're keeping the top half of your body pretty straight is what we're aiming for. It's going to feel pretty hard if you're new to it, so don't worry. It gets easier with the more you practice, but hopefully that gives you some of that mobility in your pelvis. Someone else also mentioned cat-cow can be used. Yep, you're absolutely right. Cat-cow is more for the entire body though. So a cat-cow would be things like this. So this is a cat because you're thinking angry kitty going and then a cow goes that way. So yes, you're right that this also does some of the pelvis, but remember this is the entire spine versus just a pelvic tilting is just controlling the bottom part of your pelvis, because as we sit and we stand, we tip our pelvis and then we tuck it under when we stand. When we walk, there's also some movement in the pelvis that tips backwards and forwards. So for that reason is why I chose that exercise, so we can try to isolate the pelvis more, even though the cat and cow also does that, but the cat and cow is more the entire spine versus just isolating the pelvis. Great. Oh, someone says all of a sudden the audio is gone. Oh no, okay. Well, I'm glad you can still enjoy the class. I did have bare feet, yes, and it's okay if you're wearing shoes as well, but sometimes for these kind of exercises, I like to be barefoot because I can feel the ground a little bit more, and it might help with sensing where your body is. But it's an individual thing. You don't have to be barefoot. You can absolutely be wearing runners if you would like. And if you're sitting down the whole time, you can even wear socks as long as you're not wearing socks and standing. If you are wearing socks and standing, just be mindful that you're not going to slip on the floor, especially if it's hardwood floor. If it's carpet, it might be okay, but just be a little bit mindful that you don't end up slipping. So someone's got their hand raised. I don't actually know how to allow you to be able to speak. I'm just trying to see here. So the person who has raised your hand, would you like to type in the chat box? No? If you had a question, so that's guest 614, you can try to speak. If actually, you know what? I've turned on your mic. You can try to speak if you would like. Someone else has written, the set of exercises well thought out. We like it very much. Perfect. Will you be able to provide us with a handout so we can print and put on the fridge door? I don't have a handout for the class, but I think if the exercise were to be done on a handout, it might be a little bit difficult to relay what the movements are, because a lot of these exercises are, even though some of them are stretching exercises, they're stretching through movements. You're not holding the stretch per se, but you're moving through the stretches. So it'd be a little bit difficult to relay that on a handout, but the classes are recorded, so you can come back and watch the classes whenever you'd like. And if there's anything that you particularly like, you'll probably remember the exercise and you can do them whenever you like. So I hope that's okay with you, because I think a handout would be very difficult to explain what the exercises are. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today, and I hope to see you next week. And I hope that the intensity level was okay for everybody. It's meant to be pretty slow and pretty gentle so that you're not necessarily panting too much during the exercise class. So we'll see you guys next week again. If you did have any questions in the meantime, you can send us an email, which I've just put here in the chat box, if you'd like to have anything more specific answered, including the person who had their hand raised, because unfortunately for this webinar platform, it's mostly for you to type in the chat box. If you did want to talk, though, I did enable your microphone, although you haven't yet, so maybe the microphone option doesn't work. I'm not sure, but you can always send us an email as well. Okay, thank you everybody for being here with us, and thank you very much, Amy, for helping us facilitate the webinar today. I will see you all next week, same time, same place. Bye, everyone.